There we go. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the live stream / podcast today. I'm your host, as always, John J. II, and we're back at it again on a Monday, the 28th of June. Lots of stuff to cover. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the Euros. Let's talk about the knockout round of 16. Had 2 games today, Croatia against Spain and France against Switzerland. So a lot going on, a lot of stuff happening. The first game, Spain and Croatia, started with an own goal. Then it progressed. Spain wound up getting up 2 goals on Croatia, where they came back and forced extra time. From there, Spain capitalized and won 5-3. Really crazy game. And just want to talk to you guys about a little bit of a competition I have going on with my neighbor, Caden Carter. So he's been involved with a lot of our gin stuff as of late, and he's been involved, a huge supporter of all of our events, everything we got going on. So big shouts out to Caden. But basically, here's how it works. And we tweeted out all the picks for the remainder of round 1 for the Euros. Caden, unfortunately, is 0-2. He had Croatia and France. I had Spain and France. So I'm 1-1. He is 0-2. And basically how it works is we're going to be keeping a tally of every game. And whoever wins the most, I guess that's for bragging rights. But every game you lose from here on out, it's a shotgun beer. So there's going to be a little bit of controversy there. Maybe people getting a little bit buzz. That is what it is. It's all part of the competition. Little friendly competition we got going on. Neighborly stuff. So I'm really excited about that. We'll get into the competition a little bit more here in a little bit. I want to talk about the France-Switzerland game here. Hey, Bulldogs 1992, thank you for tuning in on Twitch. Thank you for joining us. Team Yonan in the chat. A little bit of beer action. I like it. Cheers to you, brother. Hope everything's good. I'm really excited for this competition. For the rest of the Euros, we wanted to start it off at the beginning of round 1 of the knockout stage, but unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. And that's okay. We're moving on, and we're going to get done what we have to get done going forward. So let's talk about this France-Switzerland game. So similar scenario where France got up 2 goals. It was 3-1 with the 75th minute looming. So the end of the game's looming. Everyone's like, okay, all right, France looks like they're going to wrap this one up. Crazy goal by Paul Pogba late in the game to make it 3-1 after Karim Benzema scored 2 goals in the 57th and the 59th minute. Absolute crazy scenario that they put themselves in after an early goal from Switzerland and no goals for the rest of the half. It really kind of brought the blood pressure up a little bit. So that's just to say the least. Let me share my screen a little bit. Maybe you guys can see this for those of you listening in or watching live rather, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. So basically, it went to penalties. Everyone scored, so you get 5 goals per team. Or 5 shots in penalty scenario when you go to extra time. A lot of games, a lot of teams don't find themselves too often in a penalty shot scenario because a lot of them end in draws. where you get 1 point on a draw, 3 points with a win, obviously 0 points with a loss. So since it's the knockout stage of the Euros major championship, it went to penalties after extra time. You have 30 minutes of extra time if it ends in a tie after the 90 minutes. From there, they go to penalties. So they kept shooting. It went 5. Switzerland scored their 5 and they alternate. And France scored their 4. They had 1 left to go. Mbappe had the last one. And then Jan Sommer is the man of the match for having the save to call the win for Switzerland. Major league upset. Obviously, France is your World Cup winners, your reigning World Cup champs after winning against Croatia in 2018. So really exciting stuff. This is a huge upset. This is the first major upset of the tournament, so it has to be addressed. We have to talk about it. And flying colors, congratulations for the Swiss in this win. Absolute crazy win. I watched it with Caden, and we sat there and we couldn't help but be amazed at what we were watching, just because it was a great game. No matter who won, even if we had France in our picks, it was nice to see goals scored. It was nice to see them make it a game, and to have Switzerland with a Garanovic scoring a goal in the 90th minute before extra time was even added to the regular time. It was crazy to see them score a goal and come back down 2 with less than 15 minutes to go. So really amazing stuff to come back from down and to win it in penalties, showing resiliency late in the game. Really amazing stuff, and I'm really proud of the Swiss for this. Now, obviously, my team that I'm rooting for is Italy. They cut it really close with Austria going into extra time and having Chiesa score that goal. And, they cut it close. It was crazy. They cut it down to 1 with 2 minutes left. With the 120th minute looming. I thought that was going to go to penalties for a second too. Thank God it didn't, because me and Caden were sitting here watching the game. We were like, our teeth were chattering because we were feeling nervous for the players that were involved in this game, because it's a major championship. France doesn't want to, leave everything on the table. They don't want to lose the game. Obviously, being the World Cup champs, they have everything riding on their back. They have a lot of expectations riding on them. So they want to show out for their team. And at the same time, the Swiss don't want to let an opportunity like this go. So they showed out for their country, did what they had to do. They got the dub. Really amazing stuff. So I'm really happy for the Swiss. Even though I'm not the biggest Swiss fan, I'm really not the biggest French fan either. Don't have any French or Swiss blood in me. But really amazing football to watch. And people hear me say football, football is American football. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but to have, a certain culture where you're tuned in and honed into your home country and want them to play well in the soccer. Soccer is the world's sport. Whether you like soccer or not, it is the world's sport. The world has embraced it as a sport that's internationally renowned. So grow to like it, grow to appreciate it. It's really amazing stuff. Because I used to be the same way. I used to watch soccer and be like, this is boring, man. I want to see action. I want to see constant action, nonstop action, no matter what I'm doing. I want to be watching stuff and I want to be entertained constantly. But once you have an appreciation for everything that's going on in the game, every single touch matters, every single pass matters, every single, challenge. And soccer is a contact sport, whether you like to admit it or not. It's a contact sport. There's a lot of contact involved throughout the course of a game. So check it out. If you haven't watched the Euros yet, tune into it. Watch the rest of it. It goes on until July 11th. So tune in. Really exciting stuff there. So talking about Croatia, Ivan Perisic tested positive for COVID-19, which didn't allow him to play in the game today against Spain. Whether you call that, the deal breaker or not, basically it is a setback for Croatia. They had their other strikers, Luka Modric being one of them. And I mentioned it before, a lot of the itches, because everyone on their team damn near has IC at the end of their name. And Croatia is a major league team too. They played against France in the World Cup title in 2018. So they got a good team. They have a good squad. And to see them go down to Spain, more of a subpar Spain team, as some would say, to see them lose 5-3 is kind of amazing and heartbreaking for the Croatian team and the Croatian fans. So whether this was a deal breaker, whether this made the match or broke it, really, it's too late to tell. And it's unfortunate that Perisic got COVID-19, especially with everything kind of simmering down in the COVID-19 world. The pandemic is simmering into history slowly but surely. The faster, the better, obviously, but it's unfortunate nonetheless. More sports to come. Let's talk about the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 1 tonight, Tampa Bay versus Montreal. Everyone's asking me, who do I want to win the Stanley Cup? Now, everyone knows my Las Vegas Knights, they lost, and it's heartbreaking. They had a really good run. They've never won a Stanley Cup, and they've never really had a good chance to. But let's leave that behind us. Let's leave that behind us. Who do we got now? So Tampa Bay, obviously the reigning champs, the Stanley Cup champs of last year, against Montreal. Montreal hasn't been there in a while. They have a great team. Maybe people didn't expect them to make it this far into the tournament, make it this far into the playoffs, but they did. They're here now. And everyone's saying, okay, well, Tampa Bay can't win it again. Well, they can, but I'm rooting for Montreal. As everyone knows, my team in the Beard Eye tournament was Molson made. So I got some Canadian in me. Everybody that knows me knows that. So I'd like to see the Canadians take the cake in this one. Tampa Bay is minus 175 in the money line odds. So that means Montreal is plus 175 at least. And it's going to be a dicey one. I'm going to be tuning into this game. Kind of dropped the ball on my NHL stuff going into the last couple months. It is what it is. There's bigger sports to follow, and I'm going to follow the ones that pertain the most to my interests. And whether that's unfortunate or not, it is what it is. So I want to see Montreal take this cake in 7, hopefully less, and hopefully it's a good series. At the end of the day, I want to see a good series. I want to see good competition, no matter what sport I'm watching, whether it's basketball, football, soccer, or hockey. Okay, so you want to have good competition, good, clean competition, and you want to have that entertainment constantly throughout that makes it enjoyable to watch. So we're looking forward to that too. Wimbledon is also upon us. So Djokovic won today against a rookie, the 19-year-old, and there's a lot of matches. I'm overwhelmed with the amount of matches that have taken place already and that are still taking place into the wee hours of the night. Now it's happening in London. Obviously, Wimbledon, that's where it takes place. And a lot of tennis is taking place, and it's just kind of overwhelming. Wimbledon's a great tournament to watch. There's a lot of major tournaments and things like that going on. And it's kind of overwhelming. It can take you by storm if you let it. So let's watch that. Let's take that game by game. I'm not a big tennis bettor. For all you tennis bettors out there, don't come to me. Who do you got in this game? Who do you got in that game? I'll give you my best insight, but I'm not going to have a ton of weight or a ton of knowledge that's stored in my mental, my mental storage areas that I can tell you, okay, I'm going to take, Djokovic, I'm going to take Murray, I'm going to take, Rafa. I got to do my research on it. So bear with me on that and give me a little bit of a break when we're talking about tennis, okay? I like tennis, but tennis I put in the same category, similar category as hockey, just not my strongest suit. So let's move on. Let's talk about disc golf. We don't really talk about disc golf here on Gin Pros, but I'm actually a big fan of disc golf. I play it quite a bit. I like it. I take pride in the sport. And something crazy happened yesterday. James Conrad shot a birdie on the 18th hole from 250 feet out to force a playoff with Paul Macbeth, obviously the world's best disc golfer in the world. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Paul Macbeth at the CCR Open last July. Actually, it might have been a couple years ago. But I met Paul Macbeth, the best in the world. He's like the Tiger Woods of disc golf, and he's a great guy. So to see James force the playoff and to see James win the world title for the PDGA is really quite amazing. I still have to watch the video. I want to watch the final round, the final back nine. It's an hour-long video by Jomez Pro, but it's worth the watch. I know it is. It's going to be great, and I'm excited to watch that. But I just want to explain the sportsmanship that I saw from Paul Macbeth going into this tournament and seeing James come back when it seemed like the deal was sealed. And to see his sportsmanship and his congratulations towards Conrad in this, event. And obviously, Paul's won worlds before, so he knows what it's like to win. But to be that clutch on that stage, there's really something to be said about that. So really impressive stuff by James Conrad. And he's obviously a world-class player, as we can see by his performance in the Worlds. So Really, really, really exciting stuff. Finally, before I let you guys go tonight, let's talk about the Clippers-Suns game, Game 5, happening tonight. Obviously, you know, it's really hyping up who's hurt, who's not, and it's a battle of the wits. So Phoenix leads the series 3-1. Clippers have the win. They have one win they had a couple games ago. The Clippers are looking like they're tired. Who's going to come out and show out? Is there anyone that's going to, outshine others? Nobody really knows. Nobody's really rose to the occasion from the Clippers in this game in these West Finals. So I'm looking to see the Suns win. I want to see the Suns win it all. They have unfinished business, as we talked about with Chris Platty a couple weeks ago about the NBA outlook, looking at the playoffs objectively, looking and seeing who's going to succeed, who's going to excel, and who's going to shine that maybe hasn't shown before. Now, as everyone knows, the Suns won all their games going into the bubble and leaving the bubble. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to grant them a spot in any of the final games. So I told Chris they have unfinished business. They have to, prove themselves going into the postseason this season, being a traditional season. So I like to see them win it all. But the Hawks, on the other hand, they're dealing with some injuries. Trae Young is looking a little bit injured, looking a little bit iffy. So we'll have to see how the Hawks and the Bucks series finishes off. But I want to talk about and iterate towards my gin and tonic that I had last week. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the reviewing process. There's issues with it. There's problems with it. And if there's anyone in the chat right now that wants to comment or chime in on this issue, it's a very pertinent issue. So we have VAR in soccer. We have, reviews in hockey. We have, obviously you have reviews, even if players are out or safe in baseball, which I wish they had that back when Justin Verlander and Jim Joyce went at it. And he had that out called that should never been called, or he got called safe rather, where he should never been called safe, because that would have been a no-hitter. But there's holes in it, but there's also benefits to not having the VAR or the reviewing process, because you like to have that human element present. There were 4 reviews in Game 2 with the Clippers and the Hawks game in this series, the West Finals. Now, we should never have that many reviews with 2 minutes left. There should be a maximum amount of reviews that should take place in any given game. I don't care how big it is. I don't care if it's out of bounds, if it's, if the point crossed the plane, if it went in the cylinder. Whatever. We got to be able to take a look at things and be able to make calls on the spot a lot better, because it messes with the flow of the game. Jeff Van Gundy said it best. This is bad for the sport. This is bad for the game. And I completely agree with that, because it's not something that you want to look at and watch. You're going to lose viewers just by watching that last, 20, 30 minutes of the game. You turn 2 minutes into half an hour of watch time, and that's kind of a lot. People want to get on with their night, get on to what they were doing. So it's a problem. It's a problem. We need to get a handle on it, because we let this go too far, and we're going to see referees being replaced by VAR and, virtual software that is going to be calling the game for us. And it's going to be a problem. I like the hybrid. I think it's good. I like the software when it's implemented correctly. But if it's not, then it's an issue. So let me know how you guys think about that. Those of you listening live and those of you listening later on, either via audio on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or watching this on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook later on today or tomorrow. Let me know how you guys feel about that. But I'll keep that short and sweet. We went through a lot of stuff quickly tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and reach out to me if you have any comments, any questions. And we'll keep you guys posted on everything that we got going on going forward. Lots of events are in the works, so looking forward to it. The video of the Corona Challenge 2 will be coming out very soon, and I'm excited for it. A lot of great interviews on there, a lot of great shots, a lot of great content in that video. So look forward to that video coming out very soon, and I'll be posted with you guys very soon. Thank you guys for tuning into this live stream / podcast. I'm your host, as always, John J. II. Have a great night.